What is good, you guys? Welcome back to my channel and my podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get into today's video. It is raining here in Texas this morning, and I kind of wanted to keep the message really simple. I was just reading an email from one of my YouTube subscribers, and it was a beautiful email. And she had this simple question, and I want to give a practical answer. So, the question is, how do you know that your manifestation is on the way? Like, what's the biggest sign? She wanted to know what I thought personally. And this is something that I've noticed in my clients this past weekend and also in my personal experience. I know when my manifestations are getting ready to drop when I notice this. So, how do you know that your manifestations are coming in, you guys? And it's very simple. And I don't think that this is something that you could actually force. It's something that kind of happens on its own. And what happens is you become so disinterested in trying to make it work, in trying to make what you desire make sense, trying to figure out why SP did this, why the money situation is like that, the bills and all that. You get so disinterested in appearances. And it is that indifference, but you're just disinterested in trying to figure it out, disinterested in needing another video, needing another story, needing something else to make sense. You just get completely disinterested in it. And you also get disinterested in trying to get it right and trying to do the techniques right. You stop making mountains out of little molehills, little humps. And what it is you really stop seeking. So, the end of seeking is knowing anyway, as you guys have heard before, but it's true. The end of seeking is knowing, and you just stop needing a reason for things to make sense. And it's like really this deep disinterest in the previous identity or the old identity, as you could say, that you were, where you were fawning over SP, desperately needing him or her to come back, needing the money to be a certain way, needing a certain amount of money before you live your life, all these things, you just get this disinterest in it. Like you're just like, whatever, like I no longer care about it. You get this I no longer need it aspect. And what it really is happening here is you just stop beating up yourself. You stop beating up that old version of yourself. You stop feeling bad because you realize that it's only happening in memory. And the things that you may have done or may have not done, the things you wish would have happened, and all these things, like it's a moot point when you think about it because there's only now. Right. And you just stop needing things to change. You stop needing it to be different before you just decide that you're just done with it. Because if you're just really done with it, you just are like, whatever, like I'm going to go on and live my life and all these things. And you just stop being controlled. You stop being controlled by things. You stop being controlled by the manifestation. You stop being controlled by the money. And I'm thinking of this one time. I remember this was some years ago when I think I only had like $100, and I was working this job, and I would probably like have like $100 left to my name after I was paying bills and stuff like that. And my money situation, I really wanted it to change. I knew about manifesting and things like that. And that's when I was in that space of trying to make it make sense. Why did my situation end up like this? Why did this? How do I need to keep combing it over and doing all this stuff? And I remember one day I was wanting Starbucks so bad. And you guys know that I like my coffee, right? And I really thought about it. I said, you know what? Why am I letting this little $100 that I have left control me? Why? Why am I letting this control me? I have been letting this $100 every time control me. Because remember, you guys, I was in that thing where I was telling you how you're thinking of I only have instead of knowing that there's always more to experience in life, not just from a money aspect, but there's always more for you to experience, always more life that's happening here and now. And so it just dawned on me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to let this little $100 stop me. Why does this have so much control over my life to decide if I desire this caramel frap? Why? Look, what? It was only like $5 at that time. I was like, why am I letting this decide if I'm going to get that caramel frappe or not? Like, because I really want it and it's going to make me happy. And the moment I stopped judging myself about desiring it and judging myself about my money situation, judging myself about the things, the mistakes that I thought I made, the things I was holding on to, was the moment I started living my life and accepting that I don't have to wait to be happy. You just go get the caramel frappe, you're going to be happy. And instead of going to get it begrudgingly, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it because I desire it and this makes me happy. And the moment that happened, I started doing those things because I just got disinterested in the lack and in the lack of the money and the lack of, things that were happening in my life at that time. I just became so disinterested in lack that it just left my life and money just started coming to me out of nowhere. Opportunities started coming to me out of nowhere because I just became disinterested in trying to make it make sense, trying to fix it, trying to figure out why this was happening, trying to make myself small with that little money instead of being like, I'm greater than all this. And $100 is really the deciding factor of if I'm going to be happy or not. Like, once it got to that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just so disinterested. And things change because I just became indifferent to that money. And I think that was the last time that I ever had like $100 from that check left over. I started making more money, getting more opportunities. And I think that was a signal for me because what's happening now is, again, you're just not being controlled. And what I realize with my clients is there comes a point where they just are no longer interested in the thing that they initially wanted to manifest. So if they were wanting to manifest their SP, all of a sudden they pop up one day and they're like, you know what? I'm no longer interested in manifesting my SP. Like, they start living their lives. They stop waiting on things to make sense or the SP to come back and they just go live their lives. One of my clients yesterday was telling me, you know what? I remember I used to be a Zumba instructor and it popped in my mind that this is something that I desire. And so she signed up for a Zumba class this week and she's like all excited about that. And ever since she just decided to be disinterested about her SP, now all these other opportunities and things she's been wanting to manifest for herself personally in her personal life with her health and all this stuff are more of what she's interested in now. And what's happening is when you turn away from what you no longer want, you give it that space to change and catch up to you and unfold into what you desire. And so I find that when you just move on and live your life, like I'm saying, you just get so disinterested in what was, and then you just start to live your life. That's how you know your manifestations are coming because you kind of get over the things and the manifesting the things. And it's kind of like that needing nothing gets you everything. That's exactly what it is. You no longer need this manifestation to make you happy. You no longer need to find the perfect technique to make you happy. You no longer need for the information to make all this sense. And I think a lot of people will say, well, why is it easier for some people to manifest than others? And I think it's just the fact that there's people out there that will get the help that they may need or watch videos or do a few things, but they don't try to get it perfect. They don't try to like make all this sense. They're like, you know what? Here's the information. This is what's working for me. And then I'm going to go live my life. They do it, but then they keep moving. Then they keep moving in the direction of living their life. And I've mentioned this before on other videos, but I'm so for real, you guys, that the people that it seems like they get everything they want, they manifest the fastest, is they already feel like they're doing enough. They really do. They don't feel like they got to do all this stuff. They feel like whatever they are doing and whatever they have done is enough just by deciding, just by being the operant power, just by knowing who they are. They're like, whatever I do, whatever I don't do, it's more than enough because it's all me anyway. So they're not trying to do all this stuff and figure all this stuff out. They're like, you know what? I'm only controlling what I have control over, and that's good enough. And those are the people that seem to manifest the fastest because they're not holding on to anything. They're not trying to do all this elaborate stuff. They're just like, you know what? I get the information, but at the end of the day, I still decide I'm the only decider for my life. So whatever they've done, they feel that it's more than enough. If it's not about the SP, they don't They don't really care about like manifesting the SP anymore. Now it's about them. What about me? What about my health? What about the things that interest me? What about me reading a book? What about me just being happy? You stop waiting for those things to get cleared up, the money situation, the debt, all those things to get cleared up, and you just be happy. And it's kind of like they fall into this space of really embodying I am. And that's what I really noticed. The more that you no longer need the things, you really come into this awareness that it's all me anyway. It's all me anyway. So, what about me can I make happy? What do I desire personally for me to be happy? If that's laying down, sleeping, if that's me watching some Netflix, if that's me, getting off of, social media or whatever it is, then I'm going to do that. And I find that they kind of fall into this space of the I amness and really just start embodying that and really paying attention more to that. And even sometimes learning more about that instead of trying to get the thing, the SP, the money, the home, the car, all this stuff. And those things just naturally come in and meet them. And I had a client this past weekend told me she manifested her Tesla. And it was just kind of like when she no longer needed it, she went on and she started doing the things that was making her happy. It dropped into her awareness. It just showed up in a way that she couldn't have even pictured. And I'll give you guys the success story on that soon. But literally, you guys, you just become disinterested in appearances, in forms. That's why I'm always telling you guys not to get attached to the things that you dislike or no longer desire in your life. When you stop trying to figure it all out, yes, you may pull what you need from it. Okay, like that was when I was being like this, or you're resolving it, you're reconciling it, but you don't cling to it, you don't hold on to it, you don't need it to make sense. You're like, I'm gonna go on and live my life. As soon as you become disinterested and you focus on that I amness, literally everything is coming in to meet you. So that's how you know that your manifestation is pretty much coming. You just get so disinterested in what is, like what currently is. You just no longer care, can give it the time of day. You just couldn't care less about it. And that's what happens, you guys. The more that you no longer need anything, that's when you get everything. All right. So it's pretty simple. But I feel like this is something that pretty much happens on its own. I've noticed that this is something that you can't force. It just dawns on you one day. All right. So, yeah, you guys, I really hope that this helps. And thank you so much for all the guys and gals that have already had interest in my I Am Immersion experience. Trust me, you guys, you do not want to miss this. It is going to be so amazing. December 14th and 15th, over 6 hours of information and coaching for you guys in this small container about all things I am, really deep diving and really covering bases from just pretty much you've never heard. What I'm going to bring to you, you've never heard it from anywhere else, put it that way. And I'm so excited to share it with you. So yeah, if that interests you, get down in the description box below. If you would like to work with me by phone or email to clear some things up for you in your personal life, go down to the description box below. And once again, you guys, that imagination is on your side, and I am too. Bye.